I hear an outrage over the fact that this policeman was trying to extort money from somebody at a checkpoint. And then he said to the person, if you were an Igbo man, I would have detained you right now. And people are so outraged. And people are saying, why? This is horrible. Excuse me. No. Your outrage is misdirected. Let me show you what should cause your outrage. Let me show you what you should rise up in arms about right now. No, I'm not talking about Ezekiel Dachomo's 9 siblings that were murdered by Fulani. No, I'm not talking about the fact that pastors and GOs in Nigeria, just because of their compromise and what they stand to gain from Tinubu, they are keeping quiet over the fact that a fellow minister, his 9 siblings were murdered for no reason other than the fact that they are related to this minister who has been speaking up against. Your GOs are quiet. Yes. Oh, excuse me, before I continue, if you are one of those who unfollow me when I talk about your daddies and your GOs and idols and God of men, please, you can unfollow me now so that you can have your peace of mind, because I have something serious to talk about. Let me show you where your outrage should be directed at. Did you hear the story of how Buhari swore to deal with Igbo youth? And then he sent trailers and vans and cars and all manner of vehicles to Igbo land when he was in power. Oh yes, he sent them and they would just stop on the road and start arresting every young man they see. They arrest every young man they see and label them IPOB. They arrested tens and hundreds of thousands of Igbo young men, and they took them to Kanjiwawa prison in Niger State. Lots of Igbo boys were taken under him, and they were locked up in that prison. Oh yes, they went to their shops, they grabbed them in the shops, they grabbed people in their homes. I remember one man that said, I just sent my son to go and buy bread for me one morning. He said, my son never came back. This is 5 years now. That boy didn't come back. Nobody knows whether he's alive or he's one of those that, because of the starvation, they were just starving them. They locked them up in underground cells, labeled them IPOB. And I hear that this underground cells is where they keep a few Boko Haram members that they catch, that they have caught. They keep them in those underground cells. Then these Igbo boys, they blindfold them and they starve them. They were on the ground for 5 years. Most of them died. Recently, they were brought to court. When they were brought to court, as they were bringing them to court, after they had tortured these young men and they're looking like skeletons, they said to them, we're taking you to court. I think Amnesty International spoke up against what they were doing to these Igbo boys. Hundreds of thousands of Igbo boys taken from Imo State, Anambra State, Enugu State, and locked up in underground states in Niger State. They say Niger State is that area. Niger State has been taken over by terrorists. The army only go there with helicopters. They go to that prison with helicopters and picked up these boys. They went there and picked them up and said to them, we're taking you to court today. Once you get to court, they ask you, are you guilty or not guilty? You must say you're guilty. If you say you're not guilty, we're bringing you all back to this dungeon, this underground dank cell. The boys go to court, and the judge said, are you guilty? Ask the first person, are you guilty or not guilty? He said, guilty. Second person, as you're just going on and on and on and on, one brave boy said, I'm not guilty. He looked the judge in the eye and said, I'm not guilty. In his frail state, he mustered up the courage to say, I'm not guilty. Because they told them that if you say you're not guilty, we're taking you back to the dank cell. But if you say you're guilty, you may be taken to Kuje prison. That's what they lied to them. So many of them said, I'm guilty. They called their name and said, I'm guilty. This boy said, I'm not guilty. The judge ruled that that boy will be taken to Kuje prison. He's not guilty. So they're going to try him. But those that already said they are guilty were already sentenced to many years, or I think life imprisonment. And they'll be taken back. They were taken back to that prison, the underground prison. Where is the outrage from people, human beings? Where is the outrage? You're busy showing outrage for a security man that said, if you were an Igbo man, I would have detained you. When they've done worse things to Igbo young men in the name of IPOB, they just label all of them IPOB, and they're slaughtering them in thousands. And the reason for slaughtering these young men is nothing but they want the Fulani terrorists to take over. Look at Imo State. The moment they arrested all those young men, Fulani terrorists were driven to Owerri and Mbise and Obo, all those villages in Imo State. You are driven in the night with Dangote trucks. Yes, Dangote, and I'm shocked nobody is calling out Dangote for this iniquity he's perpetrating, using his trucks to transport terrorists from outside Nigeria to Igbo land. Enugu has been taken over. Imo State have been taken over. You remember when they went to Enugu, villages in Enugu, they were touching anything with a male organ, even 1 year olds, 1 day olds, 10-day olds, they were stealing them. So they left the women and children and turned them to place. Now they've converted them. They have a lot of their Muslim mosques, emergency mosques in villages in Enugu, in Nsukka, because they have slaughtered the men, they've subdued the older men, and they've slaughtered the youth that would have risen up. They did it in Imo State. That's the reason they're doing this Igbo young men. And I see Igbo young men on social media talking rubbish about Nnamdi Kanu and about the members of IPOB. What the IPOB people have done is not even up to 1,000 of what these terrorists are doing in Igbo land. And where's the outrage? Please, if you watch this program, if you watch this video to this point, I'd like you to call your daddy Adeboye. Tell him to tell Tinubu to stop the mass slaughter of Igbos. You should stop it. The reason Nigeria is darkness today is because of the innocent blood they shed during the Nigerian Civil War. Innocent blood of Igbos. They said, oh, Igbo men in the military planned coup, whatever. They were Yorubas that planned that coup. They were better Igbos there. Yes, it's Biafrans they label as the evil ones. It's because of the blood they have shed that Nigeria has never known peace. Buhari that brought this with Tinubu and El-Rufai, they brought it to come and help them chase away Jonathan. Today, Buhari's own town is also a mess. The terrorists are also his kinsmen. He doesn't give a damn. He's already dead. And Tinubu doesn't care because he already made a deal. Just give me power. I will allow the terrorists over. Just let me have power. That's all he wants, to just be president. He doesn't care about the blood that's flowing. And people like Adeboye is close to Tinubu. He cannot tell Tinubu what you're doing is wrong. Adeboye said that Tinubu has done his best. How did he even put it? As in, don't blame Tinubu for whatever is going on. But when only kidnapped Chibok girls, just one spot in Borno State, Adeboye blame Jonathan, say, if you cannot keep this nation secure, you should resign. But to him, Tinubu has done enough, so nobody should blame Tinubu. He's not advising Tinubu to stop the bloodletting, because shedding of innocent blood brings curse to a land. Nigeria is cursed. Nigeria is in darkness. No matter how you pretend, you're playing the ostrich, dancing in churches, and yes, the person today, the people they kidnap today are not the people they will kidnap tomorrow. One by one, it will get to everybody. Mordecai said to Esther, he said, you think you'll be safe in the king's palace? The day the Jews and they eventually found out that you too, you are a Jew, they will also kill you. He said to Esther, who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Adeboye, who knows whether God called you as a man of God, got you close to Tinubu for such a time as this, so they can whisper into his ear and say, stop betting, it is too much. So Adeboye doesn't know that it was Tinubu, Buhari, El-Rufai and APC that brought this. He doesn't know. He hasn't heard about the iniquity that this are committing. He hasn't heard. He doesn't know. Look at a young girl. They hold this girl up, spread her legs and spread her hands, and lit fire, huge bonfire under her. Didn't you see that video? Somebody should show Adeboye that video. The iniquity that the friends of his Tinubu, of his friends, the iniquity they are committing in Nigeria.